All right, baby dolls, I have to do an emergency video. There is unfortunate news. The SEC has done an official filing against Richard Hart, HEX, PulseChain, PulseX, everything, saying their securities. There's a lot of allegations saying he misappropriated funds. Now, a lot of this stuff, it sounds a bit confusing to me because the money is still on the chain. So you can still see it in the wallet sitting there. It is not moved. But if they're going to do anything, they might say, well, he took the Ethereum from 3 years ago and then moved it around and did something with it. I'm not sure. I'm not a legal person, but this news is real. The PulseChain ecosystem has been savage. I mean, if it bounces back from here, what a hero trade that would be. So, look, man, for everything to drop 60% in 60 minutes after they were already rinsing out the weak hands, this is extreme. And I really do mean extreme because the SEC understand this is a scary, scary FUD. But you got to understand, man, PulseChain was doing 10 million volume. There's 10 to 15,000 daily active users. I mean, I know, look, friends, this is the market doesn't care about these rational things right now. Of course, everybody's just thinking about the news, but there's people here. There's volume here. There's a community here. So, yes, the SEC can come out and say they have all these things. There's people still here. So, we know from crypto history and valuations and stuff, even though there's government stuff like this that comes on, the market still goes to where it wants to go based on the people in the network, the liquidity in the system, and everything else. Having a look at all the prices, everything has tanked in equal line. And we saw enormous clips. We just saw one guy clip 37 billion, another guy clip another 40 billion. They're paying huge slippage. I mean, man, wouldn't it suck for them if this was the low? Like, oh, man. I'm not doing anything for this part of my bags at all, friends. I've seen situations like this pass by. We've seen the XRP. We can go through the other cases. They're going to make a case. I don't know what's going to happen with the funds. It does kind of explain. I think people were guessing like maybe Richard wasn't streaming because of legal ramifications as well. So all the prices are ravaged. Look, there's no point getting out here. I mean, unless you want to, look, if you want to get out here, that's completely fine by you. For this part of my portfolio, I'm holding the allocations, letting it go. Everybody's punting and throwing around the volume. And I can just tell you right now, there are people, 1 in 100 saying, sweet, I'm getting paid tomorrow. I'm going to DCA. Well, good. God bless you. God bless you, man. Because if this works out from here, you deserve it. Do you want to know something scary and interesting? If you put it on a daily chart, friends, there was something in this chart that I was always scared about, but I did not want to believe it would happen. I know something from trading. When you have these green and red wicks, like right here, you see how it's a green daily and then red daily, these random wicks here. I know something about markets. It comes back to test the gap. They always do. But we're heading into August. Bitcoin and Ethereum were grinding along. And I'm looking at Pulse, and here was PulseX down here. And I'm thinking, surely we're not going to go hit it. Like, because I just thought maybe we've just been enough time and we don't necessarily have to hit it. But it's freaking insane that, I don't know what it is, Cosmos, Unicorn, Fairy Dust. We come back to this, everything has this green, red, green daily. We come back and we fill this gap. Now, of course, I'm not saying the charts told you the SEC was going to come off. Of course not. But it is scary how the markets weed people out like this and they come and do this. So you have two options now where you can do. You can just sell and quit. That's completely fine. You can pay a huge loss and enormous slippage down here. I'm holding this part, friends. I held through zombie virus. I've held through so many more disasters. There's more things to come out here. We know that, I mean, before the guy made PulseChain and HEX, there are a lot of lawyers, a lot. And there was a lot of legal talk and all this stuff just to make sure everything was done in the right way. Everybody's focusing on the marketing. Maybe that might be the slip up where it comes on, the twerking and all the Prada and all that stuff, right? So we're not going to probably get all the answers. This will take time. But as far as the ecosystem, where it goes from here, you're just going to have to wait and see how things transpire from now, because there is still time between now and the Bitcoin halving and for things to kind of flesh out and to get more answers. I even have the HEX chart here as well. It's come down to do this poke the low. Now, this is just a crazy thing about markets. You have to pretend you don't know the news. I know it's very hard to do that, and it's literally impossible, but you have to really just be independent and neutral out here, right? I'm just telling you right now. Have you ever in your life, friends, seen a chart, and you never would have, if it goes down, does this low, and it just goes up forever? It's very rare they do this. They come back and they test one more time. They usually come back and they test. They poke through the low, they test around the low, and they come back up. Now, the reason why markets do it is different every single time. That's why it always catches people off guard. But, I mean, it's just making the same pattern as everything before. So, obviously, we don't know where to go from here, but there are people still believing and sitting in the ecosystem. So, once again, you can, I'm telling you right now, man, if it bounces back from here and you got in, wow, like you deserve your 1,000 next from here. It's going to be funny if we ever came back from this, friends. Imagine it really did do the big pump of the lifetime from that. That'd be crazy if you were able to get down there. You're buying minus 90% down. So, you know, I've sat through these things before, friends. This is not what you think. The government shutting stuff down when there's 200,000 rabid people out here cheering and stuff. It's not what you think. I understand it's scary because you're reading these legal words on this paper from the SEC website. But if you remove them completely and you're looking at this chart and you're looking at the people in the system and you look at the valuations, right? The volume and the stuff going that's being built and everything going on right now, it's going opposite to that narrative. Of course, there might be some teething issues. It might take some time. Maybe there's going to be a bit of fluff. People going like, oh, is he going to go to court? Apparently he's, so people might get a bit more jaggedy. Like maybe he's got to go fly to the US. I don't know what happens from here. If anybody's a legal dude or dudette, please share your thoughts. And I just want to share with you, thank you, Mr. Ghosty, for showing this clip. So one person sold 46 billion Pulse. He just swiped 2.3 million DAI for himself and smacked it down. So this is what, just because people have big size, it does not mean they know the future. They still have the same fears, the same greed. And you see these actions taken out in the market all the time. That's why a lot of people, they do make the mistake of following these big clips, thinking these big clips know something where they don't. They reveal something to you. So, I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, you got to think now. You got to think straight. Put your fluffy slippers on and your fluffy hat and fluffy beanie on too. If we went back, I'm just saying, if by a stroke of luck and by God brings us back somehow, you got to think, these people swiped the lows. They're like, send it straight to zero, and it came back. So it would be the market telling you there are undertones, something else going on. Okay, but for the rest of us, of course, we are sitting here licking wounds, waiting. And of course, Mr. Spencer here saying, I have no money left to buy. Yeah, that's literally 99% of people left in crypto. And you know what? Actually, someone get Tommy on the line. This is actually very insane. It's well done to Tommy saying, this is incredible news. It's all a game at this point. I'm telling you right now, friends, this is what it is. It's just the universe. You want a chessboard? It spins that wheel. Yes, it's a chessboard with a spinny wheel. Lands on you. It plays out like every other time, and there's writers of this story. This is just how it has to be. And comments from Just in Time. Didn't we go through this with XRP and then the SEC tried to attack Richard Hart and HEX influencers last year and they failed? What am I missing? Anyway, I'm buying right now. So yes, they did try. They collected information. They're finding dirt to do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who have been trying to sue him time and time again. Look, for all we know, I mean, this could be a big, giant overreaction, but it is what it is, friends. And I understand. People fear and panic. That's why in this game, it really is just you. You'll always hear people. What do they always say in markets? They say in markets, you are your biggest, worst enemy. And that's why they also always say, man, you got to go away in a coma a bit. You just got to go away in a coma. There's no other way to deal with it. You need, like me and you need the mental fortitude of a brick wall and a cement wall to make it through this. But we can make it through it. And we also have Wonderful comments as well. Look at this. Lucky Luke saying as well, if extra centralized dumpy land XRP1, then decentralized PLS ecosystem should be fine. Lucky Luke, very good comment, because Ripple are actually dumping, yet they somehow got away with it. That's something to think about, right? So we also have Mr. Coach K Crypto here coming out. I think him and Richard had some sparring. I forgot. There's all these people going to come out, throw it out here. So it is what it is, friends. There's a lot of... This is the game. It's a game at this point. There's also... Look at these comments, some quotes here. Thank you, Mr. I Hear Shadows, saying, I hear shadows. This is the quote from the SEC. Richard Hart called on investors to buy crypto asset securities in offerings that he failed to register. He then defrauded those investors by spending some of their assets on exorbitant luxury goods, said Eric Werner, director of Fort Worth Regional Office. A lot of BS, yes, because the money for PulseChain, PulseX, they're still on chain. None of that was spent. Unless people say, okay, well, you spent from the Ethereum ICO, but I don't know how you can even make that case. Like what, you got to, maybe he's got to, I don't know. There's a lot of these things going on here that they're saying that this is not like Ripple are actively dumping, friends. Ripple are literally actively every month. They get their tokens unlocked. They go to another institution. They sell it to the institution and they're dumping on everyone. So this is just, it's something to think about what's going on here. Mr. Crypto Ghost also asking, in the end, even if not, how long will it take until the case is finished? Took XRP 3 years. I think this one won't take anywhere near that long because one, they have precedent, and two, when it comes to this, you don't have 50 people in an office with 400 million thousand emails. I think there's different mechanics when it comes to dealing with this. But once again, you don't know. Do they want to drag it out? Do they want to make an example of someone? This is just something you never know in these situations. And man, we got some tough warriors, friends. Mr. Crypto DeFi, very juicy buying zone. Thanks for the cheap pulse. Are we going to watch my video back again in the future and go, wow, we actually thought it was over again for the 19th time. I'm going to go back and cheer these people who are saying, this is the time to buy. I'm telling you right now, friends, if you believe in the ecosystem, prices are cheaper. If you have nothing else left to spend, I understand. Close your eyes, walk away. Just walk away. There's nothing else you can do at this point. This reminds me exactly of the crypto zombie virus. Right here, okay? Everything broke, every low you could imagine. There was no end in sight. Let's also look through others. So this is the XRP chart, okay? XRP, right? So here is Christmas 2020. Unfortunately, for the XRP army, their Christmas was ruined when the SEC went after them. Came down, bang, and then, yeah, actually came back up. So gone with the bull market. And by the way, this is when we all thought, like everyone was saying, go back, right, to that time. Every single person was saying, yes, we saw this coming. The SEC going after Ripple. They've been dumping this whole time. They deserve it. It's about time. They were saying that. And then the market said, you know what? And actually went up. So a lot of people also believe that XRP's bull market was cut off by the SEC. But if you look at all the charts and the diminished returns, it actually did what it was always going to do the whole time. It really did. So you can see from the XRP that it didn't go to zero, right? So, but this begs a different question here. If the users still stay on PulseChain, which you're probably going to find out, friends, if you didn't get flooded out by now, I mean, you're not going anywhere. It makes you really see the differences between the users of other chains and the volume, and you might be able to see more of a discrepancy between what we think is cheap or expensive, okay? We're going to need some more time for this to flesh out, for us to get some real numbers. We can also look at Cardano to see what it did. So here's Cardano as well. The SEC going after him, saying you're a security, right? So it comes down, interesting, right? Comes down, right? Comes towards the low, scares. Okay, we come back up. Something to think about. And here's Solana as well. Solana, same thing. Comes out, smashes these previous lows as well. Screws around, comes around, okay? I know there's crypto sentiment around because XRP was defeated as well, but it's something to think about. These things dissipate over time because market tends to go where it's really meant to go. And what I've done is, baby dolls, I've calculated the total HEX price. It's 2 cents. Interesting, like it's 2 cents right now. The low was 1.4 cents. That's what the low was before. So it actually went, I mean, if you look at these numbers here, actually, if we go back deeper down just to see how low the actual prices went, we had about here, this is about 1.4 cents again. So it's made a double bottom on 1.4 cents, which is fascinating because you would think with this super capitulation of like the SEC coming to target, you would think if there were more weak hands to wash out, it would be much lower. Because we got to 1.4 cents as people were just capitulating HEX and PHEX and just exiting after the lackluster launch. So that's very interesting to look at. Also, having a look at HEX PHEX. So HEX PHEX bumped up, which is funny enough. I mean, that's how it is, friends. These ratios are wild. And it's because people just come in, emergency swap, whatever liquidity they can get. You know what I tend to find in these times? It's not the little people who exit. It's people with like 1, 2, 3 millions of dollars. They're like, that's it. Get me out of I'm going to book my retirement. I'm done. That's it. I'm done trying to make more. But you generally find, I'm not saying this, of course, it's not financial advice. It's all up to you. But I generally see they mark extreme bottoms and tops. These guys. I don't know why. It's almost like these people have like only one round of experience being in that certain dollar size and they push too hard, too far in one direction. Obviously, as we can see here, that they've done it on the downside because they're poopy heads. And cupcakes, I'll end with Mr. Kevy and his message here, right? So look at Mr. Kevy here. So he says, do you want to know why the Richard Hart ecosystem will never fail no matter what? Everything just dumped 60% or more in a few minutes, and every Hexican flooded Twitter talking about it. The community will never let it fail. Awesome to see it happen in real time. So, friends, hey, if you want to make it in this game, these are the types of things you have to sit through. And trust me, we're only just getting started. The next 5, 10, 15 years, there's probably going to be some alien invasion hoax. There's going to be a World War III hoax. There's going to be another zombie virus that, you know, eats away at the fluff of your fluffy slippers. We're going to see some crazy wild things, friends. And yes, the candles are going to look ugly every single time. They are. Every single time. It's never going to look super great. There's always going to be these scares. So it is what it is. Like, if I had money spare on the sidelines, yes, I'd be throwing it in. But I'm not going to go change my words from my previous videos. I said, now the SEC is targeting, think long and hard, no pun intended, about what you're going to allocate your capital to with all the options out there. And yes, I'm going to be exploring this later on. But the prices are just so cheap. They're just so cheap. You know what I mean? We're not dealing with the difference between like 8 coins where one's going to do a 6x and one might do an 8x. Like, the differences are enormous. We're dealing the difference between 30x's to like 2, 3, or 4x's, right? And now actually the difference is even wider because of this capitulation. It's more like a 60x, okay? So we're not going to jump the gun with that yet. We can't make any decision. If you feel like this is too much, personally, even me, I would personally think about rotating out in the next Bitcoin halving run. That's what I would do. This is me. So you want to, people ask me like, what would you do? What would you, if you want out, This is just me, okay? So if it goes to 0, it's your fault. This is just personally what I would do. If I had any like dead weight in any portfolio, I would wait for a Bitcoin halving run. Don't look at the USD prices of any altcoins you have. You don't do it like that. You wait for super party mode euphoria in this first wave. You're not going to pick the top, friends. Don't even try. But in this wave, you're going to have to punt. If you really want out, you're going to have to say at this point, go, that's it. I'm rotating out at some point, either all into stable coins to rebuy back lower. You might buy back into newer ecosystems, or you might just trim some off back into Ethereum to be safe. So that's how you would do it. I'm not doing that. Or if I am going to decide to do it, I'm going to have to think more time about it because we're just dealing with this now. You got to think about the moving pieces of the puzzle, and you need good options out there as well. So you can't go jump the gun and just say, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. So there are a lot of moving parts here, but for now, you've got to decide, are you going to hang tight or are you going to throw up your boots, friends? So letting you know, for me, I'm hanging tight. Yes. Gary Gensler, all of them, whatever. They want to throw this out. You know, it is what it is. And friends, if you have friends out there that can't think straight, send them my video because I'm going to end final message on June. Now, Junie here, right, represents the average person. So look at this. Junie, I'm not sure that this is even an overreaction. So Junie obviously wants to be selling after a candle's gone minus 60% in 60 minutes. So he wants to be selling, okay? So he's saying, look what happened to the price of XRP when SEC went after them. It didn't recover for years. I don't see how this is any different. Luckily for you, I have the chart right here. And years, more like 60 days. So that's what it did. So yeah, it did not go and blow Bitcoin returns, but there was a recovery, friends. So luckily, I bring this information for you, clear and concise and valid for you to make the decision, because that's ultimately who's in control, friends. It's you and only you. And of course, who's in control of our friendship? Us together. Tell mum and dad. It's pretty heated out there. We're still going to make it. Give mum and dad a big hug from me. Like, subscribe, bell button all. I'm going to catch you in the next one.